What's up? It's your boy Carcino here. And when we think about sports feuds, we think about things that mostly is blown out of proportion and you don't really have a lot of pieces all together. And no one really knows the true story till later on down the road. It's not that they find out it wasn't really a beef at all. And normally in sports beef, it happens that way because they have more of a mass media around it who does nothing but spin what ifs and scenarios. And they spin them so much to the public, if the public takes it and run with it as fact. Which brings us to the situation with Donovan Mcnabb versus Terrell Owens, T.O. And Donovan Mcnabb is my cousin. So, my grandfather's side of the family, the McNabbs, we all related. From Chicago, it's my cousin. Now, that being said, this is no bias towards the situation. This is purely what happened between the two and all the things that followed behind it. The Eagles had lost 3 straight years in the conference. They couldn't get to the Super Bowl. They were the number 1 team. They had home court advantage, and they still lost and couldn't make it to the Super Bowl. And they had lost to the Carolina Panthers, I believe, of all teams, an expansion team. Now, for the first time, they went to the Pro Bowl. Donovan Mcnabb and Terrell Owens was campaigning to go to another team. And him and McNabb hung out all through Hawaii, 2004, and told Donovan, look out for me, man. I'm going to put on the show. You know what I'm going to do. You know how I work. And McNabb's thinking, if I got a guy like this on my team, we can get along like this, we can make things happen. Because he wants to work. He wants to get some things done. So, anyway, McNabb goes to management and says, let's get Terrell Owens. Can we make a play to get Terrell Owens? And management didn't want to do it. Andy Reid was not really sold on bringing Terrell Owens to the Eagles and saying, I don't think we need to worry about that. I think we need to look at more of a defensive place because I think offensively we're fine. And defensively is where we need to be looking. He's like, no, defense is in place. We need somebody that they're going to respect on the offensive field. That they got to focus on. Got to pay attention to them. We can get them for next to nothing. Get them to a 1-year deal to try them out. Instead of signing them to a contract, they signed them to a 1-year offer. It was like a trial run to see what they were going to do, and then at the end of that season, they would sit down with Terrell Owens and negotiate a longer contract. This led to the big issue. And the big issue was Philadelphia, the management who really didn't want Terrell Owens, and Donovan Mcnabb who fought to get him there. Now we got to deal with T.O. and T.O.'s personality. Once T.O. arrived to Philadelphia, the Philly fans smelled Super Bowl. We finally could beat those Cowboys and beat them into the ground. The whole floor was paved for the Philadelphia Eagles. They saw their destiny. They saw nothing else but destiny. This is what they needed. They had dominated the East Made it all the way to the Eastern Conference. Well, not the Eastern Conference, but to the championship game, NFC Championship. 3 years in a row to lose. This was the guy that was going to get them over the top. Soon as everything is starting, it's a T.O. fest. The whole town, 81's everywhere. Mcnabb was always villainized in Philadelphia by Philadelphia fans, Bernard Hopkins, anybody they can to try to blame him for the reason they couldn't get over the top. Oh, he's not a leader. Oh, he can't do this. Even though he had the highest accuracy and broke any Philadelphia quarterback's record. Put up the greatest season with a team that never really went out and got him any talent. They never built anything around Mcnabb to say, hey, let's make a shot for the Super Bowl. It was like, look, work with what we got. And that's what they gave him. The only player they ever went out and got was T.O. in his entire career. They never really got anybody to build around him. They drafted people. And he had to work with what he had. Westbrook, all those guys they had, come on. Now, going into this system, Andy Reid had a good system in play. Mcnabb didn't turn over the ball a lot. So that was on him as far as running the team. T.O. is, he likes to get, when he's in a good groove or he catches a couple passes, he's like, look, this play here, I laid off a play, I'm open. And T.O. has a thing like when he's open and if he ain't getting the ball, he got to let you know about it so that you don't forget about him. And people take it the wrong way. So, like, quarterbacks don't like to hear people griping at them all the time. And one day in the huddle, in one of the games, it was a tight game, and Donovan's not having that good of a game, and, they're losing. Here comes Mcnabb. Here comes T.O. coming in there and like, I was open, D. I was open, 5. Yo, 5, I'm open. I'm open on the play, 5. I'm open. And Donovan purposely didn't throw to him. On the whole drive, they did a 3 and out. They go on the sidelines. No, actually, they didn't get to the 3 and out. They called it. They was in a huddle. And Donovan McNabb cussed T.O. out in a huddle in front of the team when they was in the huddle. Then he didn't throw to him on the play. Once they got to the sideline, T.O. is so hot. He wanted to continue the conversation because he wanted to let Donovan know. And Donovan McNabb kept walking away from him. He's like, yo, man, look, all I'm trying to tell you, man, is I'm open and all of this. But what was that? You just cussed me out on the field. So he trying to talk to him. So after the game, everything's over. He calls McNabb. They have a one-on-one conversation. He says, look, I work hard like you work hard. We all work hard. We do this and that. But don't ever cuss at me like that again. And he thought that would be the end of it. But what it was the demise of their friendship. And now it's just, well, hopefully we get to the Super Bowl and we can get rid of you. In Donovan's mind. Because Donovan is supposed to be the leader of the team. And here you got a player that you're not going to be able to control. And they brought you here for this. And that's how T.O. be like, man, I told you. I was going to put on the show when I came here. And McNabb would always be like, yeah, but I brought you here. That's why I brought you here. Like he always want to reiterate that you're here because of me. I brought you here. So it's a little bit of ego what's going on with Donovan because he was never embraced like T.O. was, and he just showed up, and Donovan's like, look, I've been putting in all this work for years doing charity events over here, and you guys, as soon as T.O. come, nobody's on the radio station bashing him, they bashing me. Then T.O. gets hurt, and this when everything blew up. When they came out with the horse collar rule, back then you could horse collar kids, it was legal. T.O. got his ankle broke. And this is why they made it a law. Because one man, Roy Williams, used to love to tackle people that way, and they took that away from him and outlawed the horse collar. They had to think of a name for it. And once it injured T.O., and it was like the Eagles season is over and they got to replace T.O., you know, Donovan McNabb was like, we ain't got to replace him. Like, we fine. We got personnel. And what was funny is, and what was strange is, because T.O. was supposed to be out the rest of the season. T.O. rehab, iced his ankle. He was in no way, shape, and form ready to play in the Super Bowl. But he couldn't come back unless the Eagles played in the Super Bowl. Because he wouldn't have been healthy enough to run and go all those games. And they brought him there so that he can get them over the hump to get to the Super Bowl. And they had to win, and this is what people misunderstand when he's like, T.O. led him to the Super Bowl. T.O. had a great regular season. He did not play one playoff game. He came back for the Super Bowl. So they reached the Super Bowl and got over the hump in the playoffs without Terrell Owens for the first time. So basically, Mcnabb led them to the Super Bowl. And now here comes T.O. to play in the Super Bowl, and on one leg, he's putting on a performance. He's catching the ball, he's making moves out there, and people criticize Mcnabb. And what I can find very strange is they were like, yeah, T.O. was killing, and McNabb was throwing up in the huddle. That's what it went through the hood, everybody else, because they took a sound bite of what T.O. said, and he was reiterating what someone else was saying. But on the final drive, because the offensive line was so bad in the drive and protecting McNabb, he got a helmet to the chest driven into the ground. Nowadays, you can't do that. You can't lead with your helmet, but back then you could. And he had a bruised sternum. So he wasn't out of shape, huffing and puffing. He's struggling to breathe because a helmet was in his chest and he got driven into the ground. So while they talking about he throwing up in the huddle and he's out of breath and he's burning time, because he just took a helmet to the chest and driven into the ground. How about protecting the quarterback? But if you didn't watch the game, you didn't see that. Or they show you the highlight of McNabb huffing and puffing, trying to get to the huddle and run a play. He's out there competing with a bruised sternum now. And dumb players on the team who didn't know what was going on was like, man, like he thought he was like out of shape or something. But they were like, man, T.O. had 200 yards, he did this and that. Who got him the ball? He's the quarterback. Somebody had to throw the ball in his direction and get him the ball. And that's why I'm like, I don't understand people's logic. What you thought T.O. came out there and started throwing the ball to himself? It's ludicrous to even talk about this, because this is where the setup happens. After they lose the Super Bowl by 3, it's time to pay T.O. Now, here it is, contract time. He thinking, okay, well, they finna offer me a better deal, and I'm finna get this, and I'm gonna get that. So they offer him a deal. And it's considerably less, the offer that they have on the table, considerably less than what they were looking at. They were like, well, this is an initial offer, we can work our way up. They wasn't trying to work. They like, this is it. We're not, no, this is, he was like, after what I've done this season, you think like, oh no, I would never take this deal. This deal's ridiculous. So he thinking, oh, well, Donovan gonna talk up for me. He know how I work. He seen how I put in. Donovan ain't gonna be happy with this. Donovan gonna speak up on my behalf. And Donovan didn't. And he talked to Donovan. Donovan was like, that ain't none of my business. Whatever you negotiate with your agent and the team, that's, with ownership, that's you. I don't get involved in players' negotiations or their contract. So he felt like, wow, you was supposed to be my boy. In T.O.'s mind state, he never looked at it as we ain't friends no more. He was somebody thinking like, I can talk to you honestly and we can go back to being cool. But Donovan didn't see it that way. Donovan looked at it as, no, we just business now, homie. And that's the way I want to keep it. Now, if you're a player on this team next season, fine. We'll play and that's that. And we'll get through it. But I'm not going to be a part of all this negotiations and going to talk for you and stick up for my boy. He didn't have that in his vocabulary, so T.O. decided to do all this other things, distractions. He's in there rehabbing his leg, but he's holding court and talking about Donovan Mcnabb and how he's got a $100 million contract, and Donovan got this and Donovan got that, but they don't want to pay me. They paid Donovan though, but he was throwing up in the huddle. Some guy was throwing up, so now he's throwing Donovan under the bus because he's upset with management and everybody else. So the whole city is starting to find out what was going on behind closed doors. So now it becomes a big media affair. The media's out there, he's watching his workout because Hugh Douglas is like, man, you messing the team up with all this Donovan crap. So he goes ahead, goes in the, because he's rehabbing his ankle, so he's in there doing the rehab, and here comes Hugh Douglas in there. And Hugh Douglas and Donovan McNabb, they like best friends on the team, so Hugh ain't taking it. He was just upset. He's causing all this distraction on the team and dividing. So he come in there and they get getting close, and he tries to punk him. Hugh is, because he big. Big didn't mean nothing. T.O. had him, gave that boy, it's like, don't put your hands on me. So once he found out T.O. was as strong as he thought, he learned a valuable lesson that the Hugh Douglas got worked out in there. So the other teammates came, broke it up, took Hugh out of there. And then now it's gone in the papers because somebody leaked it to the papers and to the media that Hugh Douglas went in there, tried to fight T.O. and got his butt whooped. So that floated all through the press, and they was like, just don't quote me on it, but he got his A whooped. We had to save him from T.O. And now Donovan is watching the news, and there's T.O. giving an interview. And they're talking about how he wasn't a leader. All these questions is coming up on ESPN. And Mcnabb is at home. And he's looking at it, he's laughing. And his wife is like, you think this is funny? He was like, yeah, it's kind of funny to me. She was like, no, this is like a modern day lynching. This is not, another black man should never do this to another black man. So his wife was upset about it. She's like, and I'm upset with you that you're not mad about it. And then that's when Donovan got mad. Because now his wife's mad at him because he think this is a joke. What T.O. is doing, he ain't taking it serious, and she's like, no, this is a modern day lynching. And this should not happen from one black man to another. And she was upset about it. Like, really upset. And then she's like, I'm more upset that you're not upset. So now Donovan's upset. So Donovan holds a press conference now and starts talking about the issue. And just saying that he doesn't have anything to do with it. He's ready, the usual. And he won't stoop to this, whatever T.O. was doing. So the team decided, look, we got to suspend Terrell Owens, for doing things detrimental to the team. And he's like, look, I came to training camp. They don't want me to train. I'll train right here in front of my house and all this stuff. And he was just, I love my teammates. You know, it was just the wrong advice from his advisor on what to do. It made a big mess in Philadelphia. And then when his bags was packed and then he left, and Philly was like, you know, we done with him and we just got to let Terrell Owens go. You know, it went back to Donovan. Donovan was like, well, you know, we hate to see players leave, but in this situation, I think it was the best thing to do. And with T.O., he came in with a reputation of, this is a disgruntled, you know, quarterback. I mean, wide receiver. He's going to be a problem. He's going to be an issue. How you going to deal with Terrell Owens? He's going to be this headache because the coach, his problems with coaches. Him and the 49ers coach did not get along at all. The coaching staff wanted to choke him. The quarterback wanted to choke him. And all of a sudden, he's gone. He's a free agent. He's free in the league. And that was basically it for his tenure with Philadelphia. So it wasn't about his physical abilities. It was about the distractions and him being a division in the locker rooms. And sometimes some of the things he done, he don't see it. He doesn't see it as this is a bad idea or why did you even think to say that? Like what would make you say something like that? He don't really see them as, he thinks it's constructive criticism. But then it gets vindictive when his way is not gotten. And he uses other people as an example. And it really comes off very negative. So that's how that situation ended up playing out. T.O., of course, y'all know he went from there to Dallas. And what happened with his career. And Donovan he got back to the championship game and got betrayed by Philly, and the rest was history. But they've never had another successful quarterback in Philadelphia. They've been searching, they have been trying, and right now they are still trying to find a replacement for Donovan Mcnabb. So for any Philadelphia fan out there who used to dog Donovan, dog the team, he's soft, he this, he that, what do you have ever since he left? What has been there? What numbers have they put up? And what have they compared to Donovan McNabb? Philadelphia, who has never won a Super Bowl ever? Ever. He was your most successful quarterback ever. His numbers are up there with people that's in the Hall of Fame. You should be embracing Donovan McNabb. Because I know in the end, you guys will, because you'll realize it, and you probably realize it right now. After what you got, you're going to be wishing number 5 was back on that field. This T.O., Donovan McNabb, this was a missed dynasty. This could have been a dynasty. It got ruined by ego, money, and that's it. Basically ego. If you remember this, hit me up in the chat room or something. Let me know what's going on. It's your boy Carcino. I'm tired. I'm sleepy, but I'm out.